6/10 of a second remaining. The brilliant shooting of Stephen Curry continues.
Back to Green, into the hands of Spurwell. Fast break down to Weber. He turns. Look up behind the back. And the step and the foul. What a play by Weber.
I've never seen a shooting display like this. Never.
37 in a quarter.
Curry inline shakes the ball out of his boot.
He takes a little swing and misses. Curry splits the defense behind the back. Fires a three. Oh, he puts it in. Spectacular move. That could be the greatest move I've ever seen. Here's Curry for the record. It's good. There it is. Stephen Curry, the all-time three-point king in the NBA.
Fuck it. We'll do it live.
You are in Horizontal with me, Bram, and with me, per usual, my master of all things video and sound, Maxime.
How's it going?
Maxime, special episode. Fired up to announce they're rejoining us after way too long. A long-time Golden State fan with ties to Warriors World, the former member of Uninterrupted, the current host of the Wrestling Pod, and the podcast manager at The Ringer, and a guy whose Twitter account is so fucking entertaining, I couldn't pick which tweet I wanted to highlight in this intro. Mr. Ben Cruz, what's going on, Ben?
Guys, what's up, man? Thanks for having me back. I was honestly a little worried I would never be allowed back on this pod again, and let me tell you why. So I don't know if you remember last year. I came on real early. I think the Warriors were 6-2 or something like that. They got off to a hot start. Remember, we were like, "Is Chris Paul back?" A lot of those conversations. And I remember distinctly after they lost like 6 in a row. And it was like, yeah, nah, they're never gonna invite me back on that show. I'm clearly a curse. I'd curse this team, and that was the difference between making the play in the playoffs.
Ben, do you know how many terrible takes I've dropped into this microphone? If we limited who could like come in, versus what they've said and whether or not it proves true and where they were, I couldn't come on here. I remember right after the title season, after 2022, doing a sequence of preseason episodes whose question was, are the Warriors better this year? Is James Wiseman making them a much more solid fucking team? And then, no, that all distant history, dude. I didn't even remember you saying that. In fact, I remember you saying they were going to lose the next 6, and so you were, ahead of the curve, man. It's nice.
Did I? That's even worse. I feel like that's even worse. Just what a negative.
I'm trying to dig you out here, man. I'm trying to fucking help you out here. I can dig us out this way with a distraction. I meant what I said during the intro. Maxime, here's the 2 I couldn't decide between. All right. So I thought I had it for sure. Here's a tweet from today. Actually, no, I'm sorry, from yesterday. Quote, Draymond was right about Rudy Gobert and every single challenge, apparently. So I was all fired up, right about what's going on, who's Rudy. But then you keep looking on that timeline, and here's the next quote. My wife had a dream last night that I left her for an unknown female wrestler, and she's been upset with me all day about it. So that's been chill. So just an incredible reveal, dude, and much more kind of in the setting of this show. Do you know which wrestler? Did you explore the details?
No, I asked. I said, who was it? She said, I don't. She said, and I quote, I don't remember. And 2, you told me in the dream you didn't even know she was going to make it. I was like, why? So I was being judgmental about her talent, but I was in love with her enough to leave you and our 2 children. That makes a lot of sense.
You're lucky her response wasn't, oh, don't pretend like you don't know, like treated it like it was a real thing.
It might have been worse if I started naming actual wrestlers, like, oh, that's who you want to leave me for. You're like, I can't speak for that gentleman who was in your dream. I'm sorry.
Or some follow-ups like, were we really happy? Was everything working out? Like you just say,
stay. I should have asked. You're right. I should have asked for more details. Like, well, what started the fight? Maybe it was something you said in the dream, and that's why that gentleman reacted that way. I want all sides of the story.
Here is some marital advice, which I'm not in any way equipped to give, because like if you are either had a fight or is going to have a fight in your wedding, I've definitely had it. Like I've been there. But in a situation like this, my advice is just immediately cut bait. Start talking about like dinner next week. Like there's no upside in getting.
Oh, I just took
any
it. I
detail.
took it on. I think I said I'm sorry. I think I apologized for Dream Ben's really lack of solid judgment with his marriage. That guy owes me big time.
I don't mind telling you that Dream Ben sounds like an asshole, and make sure to let Mrs. Cruz know that. I mean, she can, if I had to pick a team here.
If he keeps getting me into fights with my wife in like reality land, I'm gonna have to fight that guy. I'm gonna have to go full Leo Inception mode, just like hook up some stuff to my arm, fall asleep, and then just beat the crap out of that guy.
You know what Bram I hate is past Bram. Past Bram is constantly not doing work so that future Bram has to like pick up the slack. And so like every time I come in, like whatever decision I've made on Friday, you know what? I'm just going to go home. I'm not going to deal with this. And then Monday, past Bram is a lazy piece of shit. So I am hard out on him. Maxime, any fights with your wife over dreams? I mean, has anything like that ever gone through?
No, because I don't remember any of my dreams. And I actually have a friend who would come into work at a previous job and would tell me the most outlandish dreams that he had. And I was kind of jealous, I was like, that sounds like a great time. I feel like all my dreams are just me like walking in a blank room, like occasionally hitting the wall and going, ow. So no, I got nothing. I think my dreamland is pretty boring.
I love that your interpretation of that question was, have I ever been angry at my wife for a dream? I'm talking about her for you, dude. I don't know. You being angry at your wife, who cares? I'm talking about the other direction.
Yeah, no, but I did have a friend tell me that he just woke up. He was woken up screaming he screamed during his dream, and his wife woke him up because he was still screaming, and he was worried because he was Benjamin Netanyahu's son and was being chased by somebody he didn't know who. So terrifying dream. So shout out to my boy Justin for that one, who was in fact woken up by his wife, and I think they had a lot of conversations about his night terrors. So.
And just to clarify, he's not Benjamin Netanyahu's son?
No, Justin Netanyahu. I didn't mention his last name. My bad, yeah.
Oh, okay, yeah.
It makes a lot more sense.
Small detail, but yeah.
I will be transparent about a concern that's already been realized. So, Ben, I hate it when our guests are more funny than I am. I just hate it. And so, like, I hopped in here worried about you. The bar gets set pretty high. Your Inception joke, fuck, man. Like the bar is already like way up here now. Like we'll see where this goes, but I'm already upset and in my feelings. So fuck you, Ben.
Well, no, I appreciate. I'm freezing, so I'm just trying to keep talking. Like, it's really cold in my house, so I'm like, if I keep chattering and thinking of jokes, I might warm up. I don't know.
We'll find out. We're
together. Bay Area cold. Yeah, we're Bay Area cold over here.
Keep the mic. We're going to do a glass half full here in a moment. That'll kind of focus us. We'll be limited to the last few games, but we haven't really talked to you for a while, and it's been a fun season. So, just general impressions, man. How's this season unfolding for you?
I mean, very surprised. I mean. Yeah, the beginning of their schedule was a little soft, and they beat up on teams that they should have beaten up on. I think the biggest takeaway for me was that they've already won a few games this year that they 100% would have lost last season, right? The Grizzlies game from Friday there was just no rhythm to that. Somehow they ended up blowing them out. Draymond gets thrown out. So that had vibes of last year. But, the OKC and Rockets game, right? Up 30 in both games, they blow both leads. I feel like last year those are games that they lose, right? Again, vibes were completely off. And then the Celtics game too, right? I mean, that's probably been talked about ad nauseum as one of their best, if not their best win of the season. But, first half, lights out. Third quarter, the Celtics, wake up, score, what was it, like 40, 42 points or something like that. And they didn't fold. They somehow didn't fold against the defending champions in Boston. Without Jordan Poole, I'm convinced Jordan Poole might be the best player against the Celtics, maybe in NBA history. But it was games like this where you're like, oh, they're definitely better than last year. Now, is it sustainable? I'm sure we'll get into that at some point. But that's been, it's been a pleasant surprise early on to start.
Somewhere right now, Magic Johnson is slowly nodding his head, but like, yep, Jordan Poole is much better against the Celtics.
I think we should get Magic on the show and ask him, like, you or Jordan Poole, who are Celtics fans more fearful of?
We know it's 100% Jordan Poole, but it's also the perfect transition into the glass half full. So, Ben, you remember this, where we look back, give us something you like or don't about recent Warriors basketball, and what makes it the perfect transition is you hit one of the things I was going to say, like they aren't losing trap games. You know, that Memphis game is the definition of a trap game. They just came off a huge win against Clay. There's all these emotions. Ja Moran is out. There's every reason to kind of let go of the intensity, and they didn't. You know, they held on. Wasn't a pretty win, but the ugly wins count the same. You know, so it is one of the things I like. I've got other things, but I'll back off. I'll give it back to you, Ben. Other things you liked or don't from recent hoop?
I do like how Buddy Hield, despite him falling back to earth a little bit, he's still kind of that, you know, that surprising pickup that they had that is actually panning out.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like I remember when they announced those signings, it was him, Kyle Anderson, DeAnthony Melton. You're like, yeah, nice pieces. Are they going to be that effective on this team? Surprise, yes. Right. And again, Buddy's, he was on a tear to start the season. You're like, is he? I might have to delete the Slack from my work Slack. I messaged a coworker and I was like, is Buddy Hield an all-star? So that was admittedly that was 7 days ago. Again, I might need to purge that from the history.
And what sport? What sport were you talking about?
I think it was basketball. Might have been trying to sneak in another, but despite that, Buddy's still. He feels like he was destined to play here.
Yep.
Right. He just feels like a warrior. It feels like he had half a medallion. The Warriors had the other half of the medallion, and they finally put it together. And you're just like, oh, this is what it should have always been. Right. Because Buddy's been this lightning rod of criticism. I feel like his entire career, where you're like, good shooter. Is he a winning player? TBD. Right. Every single team he's on. And this year you're just watching him, and he's playing with this freedom and this space and this that is unprecedented for his career. So that's been fun to watch. It's just the Buddy real name Chavano Hield of it all has been fantastic.
I love the idea. So like going way out, zooming out and looking at Buddy's game and what the Warriors do, it makes perfect sense. You know, that should have, those two things should have gone together, but we never saw it. And the same way, like if it was a movie and you had two protagonists and they each had one half of a medallion on either side and the audience could see it, you know, we knew that the things would match up, but the two characters never knew. And then they finally meet and they're like, wait, our medallions match, you know, and like, here we are. And then we're seeing that exactly, and I'll take that a step further. One of the things I've liked is this continued progression from placeholders to difference makers. You know, they brought it, that list of people you gave us, Slow-Mo, DeAnthony, Buddy. When I read it, at no point did I think, oh, difference makers, like, here we go. These are going to be the reasons why everything comes together. And it wasn't that I'd given up on a positive season. It's just that when I looked at the possible upsides, it wasn't with those guys. You know, that's not how I viewed it. And now with every game in different ways, they're all showing, well, no. These are the difference makers. These are the guys who can take us a step further. So I really enjoy it. I'll throw in a don't. I don't like that DeAnthony Melton is hurt. It's making me nervous.
Health issues are funky.
Dude, and we're all like, I mean, maybe I'm the only one doing this, but I'm so worried that this success can continue, that any small little indication that, you know, like maybe it's not coming is making me really worse. Like someone who lost a ton of weight, doesn't really believe it, puts on 5 pounds and panics. You know, I'm in that 5 pound thing right now. You know, like Anthony Melton's hurt, dude. And I like his history of injury worries me. Buddy Hield, like his percentages have slowed down a little bit after those first 10 games. And it is worrying me, but quick course correct, something I like. Draymond Green's continued backpack shooting for the three. He's shooting like 46% or something. And
unreal.
Absolutely love that. And I also like having GP2's frenetic defensive energy in my life. You know, you kind of forget the difference that he makes when he's out there and just the chaos that he creates. So I like having all of that. Maxime, what do you got?
Yeah, we really missed GP2 when we gave him to Portland for that half season, like they do in the Euro Soccers. I will say I want to just sort of pile on with Buddy Hield because he was a team high +5 in the Clippers game, and I feel like he was doing it on both ends. That two halves of the medallion thing is kind of amazing. Like I see him having active hands. He like broke up a play that led to a fast break, and then he's there for the three. I mean, he's still a dead-eye shooter regardless of the percentages dropping a little bit. It's really exciting to sort of see that happen. Everybody was saying, oh yeah, Buddy's a great shooter, but he doesn't bring it on the defensive end. And I think therefore you got to give some props. Clearly something is special about the way Steve Kerr runs this team, because he continues to bring in people like Andrew Wiggins, for example, that are known for not really putting in the effort on that end of the floor, and then all of a sudden here they are making it work. I also love seeing Buddy Hield kind of doing the motion off-ball stuff that you used to see from Klay. I'm not trying to make that comparison. Klay Thompson is a one-of-one, but inserting somebody into the system that can do similar things allows Steph and allows Draymond to run the ship the way they want to run the ship. It feels really good to see him curling around, grabbing the ball and putting up the three ball, and it keeps the opposing team honest, because he can hit it at a high enough clip that it really is floor spacing, that it really is actually playmaking by being a source of gravity. So really exciting to see Buddy Hield do that. I have a couple of things I don't like, but that is one thing that I do.
Ben's used the phrase vibes a couple times. Couldn't agree with him more. And one of the sources of those vibes, Buddy Hield's having the fucking time of his life.
Oh.
I mean, he is genuinely
So
enjoying it. He's just enjoying it. It's new for him. And, like Curry flurries, new for him. It's making him go crazy. This system that's unlocking his thing, new for him. It's making him really enjoy it. These teammates, I mean, all of it. It's like watching a movie I've loved forever with someone who's never seen it, and it's kind of making these things new again because he's having the time of his life. So yeah, it's a real solid addition. All right, another downside, and I got to say it. So I don't like losses brought on by poor free throw shooting and bad pass turnovers. But I'll take it a step further. So newsflash, man, I'm a crazy person, need therapy. I'm neurotic. One of the things that I illustrate how crazy I am is unforced errors. Give you a stupid example. Maybe 3 weeks ago, maybe longer than that, I ordered an ink cartridge from a shady ass spot. I thought I was like saving money. They sent me something that didn't work at all. I cannot return it. It cost me like $15. It's nothing, but I can't get over it. Unforced error. Like I'm super angry. It feels like I fucking lost this $15 and it's on me. I'm crazy enough where I almost don't even want to replace the ink. Now I have to work without a printer because it's my fault. I ordered this wrong thing.
You start doing it by hand?
Yeah, exactly right. Yeah, you should see my notes. They're almost illegible for this podcast. But it's okay to lose games. It frustrates me, but it happens. They're not going to go 82-0. But losing because of unforced errors, things that you can fix on your own, it just drives me crazy. And so watching it last night, the in-between of the one-handed passes or the 800 reminders from Fitzgerald that we'd be winning this game if they hadn't missed 1,000 free throws, I don't like it, dude. It hits me in an ugly place, and I was very frustrated.
Yeah, and it's, to piggyback off of that too. So, I mean, we're going on 10 years now of, the Steve Kerr era and, what he preaches with ball movement, ball finds energy, all this other stuff. But it almost comes down to the same thing when they lose games, right? Turnovers lead to them not being able to outshoot their opponents, right? Or at least kind of keep up. Because when it comes down to it, if the Warriors outshoot their opponents, more often than not, they've got a really, really good chance to win.
Yep.
Right. They might have an off night, but if with the amount of possession, the pace that they play with and the amount of possessions that they, try to beat their opponents with, their shot, I think they have enough shot making to where they will inevitably come out on top.
Sure.
When they turn the ball over at the rate that they do, or like at the rate that they do with like last night, for example, when you're taking away that advantage of number of shots that you're taking, again, when you have the best shooter to ever live as an example, and then now Buddy Hield, who's apparently the second best shooter to ever live for at least temporarily, it is frustrating because even when the Warriors miss, I'm not even mad when the Warriors miss anymore.
Yep.
I've seen this system run for so long where you understand this will wear down the other team if they keep the turnovers to a minimum.
Yep.
Right. Because there's only so many swings that the other opposing defense can defend. Right. Inevitably, they will get tired. They will lose focus. Someone will get a back cut. Someone will, on a pin down, they'll forget their assignment. it's a rhythm that the Warriors play with, and if they're turning the ball over, they're out of rhythm, and then therefore the other team is able to defend them more like any other team in the NBA, right?
Yep.
So it is frustrating to watch that.
The momentum it kills too. I mean, not scoring sucks every time, and watching a team's lead go up sucks. I mean, it's hard, or watching your team go down. But watching that happen without even taking a shot in a possession, I mean, like throwing it away immediately like we do, especially when it happens in like the first 8 seconds of the shot clock.
Yeah.
There's a real deflating thing that does, and I'm sure it's not just for the fan base. I mean, it's got to be frustrating as shit for the people who are in that game too. I'll give you something I like and then related don't. And then we'll get Maxime's the rest of his list of don'ts because I'm wondering what they are. But the thing I like, Steph Curry is still so incredibly dominant that in the last shot of the game where the Warriors need a 3, they triple teamed him. They left 2 people wide open just to make sure that he could not shoot. They took 2 people whose job it is. They play in the NBA. They are professional basketball players. They get millions of dollars to play basketball, and the Clippers all decided unifiedly that leave those 2 dudes open. I don't give a shit what happens with them. Just make sure this guy doesn't shoot it. So just another superlative for a guy who's filled with them. And then the related don't, I wish it was Lindy Waters who shot that 3. The one we missed last night. Because it looked like it was going to him.
It looked like he could, or at least GP just one more. Literally,
100%.
Waters was he was at the top of the key, right? Yep. That dead on 3.
Yep.
Yeah, just one more swing.
They were right next to each other, and I get why he did it. It was wide open. Like I understand it, but that's my final don't. Is it would have been what a cool extra chapter in the Lindy Waters book. If he, I mean, in my mind, he definitely would have made it. Who knows? But I would have preferred it coming out of his hand. All right, enough vamping. Maxime, what are the other ones you don't like, dude?
Well, and I correct me if I'm wrong. I think Lindy Waters opened the game with a 3, so it would have been a sort of a sweet bookend as well, right? But here we are, the way things go. And also, I can't help but think, to be clear, I do not want Ben Simmons on my team, but I feel like with Steph Curry being triple teamed, Ben Simmons might have taken and made an open 3. And look, maybe this is what we need. Is
I don't know.
Action to finally get
that's a really high expectation for Ben Simmons.
I mean, like, was he shooting with like his feet or something? Like, I know if he just shot it.
Is it an empty gym? Is he passing it to him in a different gym?
This is my point. I feel like at that point you might as well be. Anyways, the things I don't like, and really, it's not even Warriors specific. It's just, first of all, real quick.
After a Ben Simmons take, you sure it's not Warriors specific?
I got other random Nets takes if you want them about Kenny Atkinson and whatnot, but we can leave that aside for now because I hate watching James Harden play basketball. Holy shit. What a dichotomy between how the Warriors play. So Harden racked up 16 assists last night. And yet I feel like 3 of those were actually play calls, and the other 13 of them were him dribbling into traffic, pounding the ball around for a while and being like, oops, I guess I don't have anything, so I'll just toss it out to somebody who's open. Absolutely miserable. Really can't stand the dude in any sense. At least he has a beard because it's a rough watch when he doesn't. But that's an aside because the Memphis game, and we saw Steve Kerr freak out at the end of that, and Eric Apricot did a really great breakdown of Kerr and Moody chasing him around as he was going to yell at that ref. But overall, so I was with some friends, a combination of some pretty serious Warriors fans and then some casuals, and we were with our wives, and it was a whole thing. And I was like, look, I really want to watch this game. It'll be really fun. And people were into it. And I felt myself like Homer Simpson style receding into the couch during that fourth quarter because it just sucked all of the energy out of the room. It was such a bummer to have convinced a bunch of people to spend their Friday night enjoying this sporting event, have it be really fun, have it be like this high shooting, high volume thing, right? Everybody's having a good time, and then all of a sudden, right, with 4 minutes to go, we're up 18, and then slowly but surely, look, the spread was Vegas had us 7.5 point favorites. It just so happens that the game finished 118 to 123. I'm not saying anything. I'm just saying Memphis covered the spread, and they might not have been able to do it by themselves. So just a really frustrating end overall, and made for kind of a bummer experience. And I'm struggling a little bit with sort of the way that these games grind down at the end sometimes, because that's not the type of basketball that I want to play. So that's the thing that I don't like, glass half empty.
I can tell you from learned experience, don't bet the NBA. Do not bet the NBA. At least not during the regular season.
Yeah.
It's a nightmare. You just 100%, it has caused more hardship than I care to admit right now. I've got a follow-up for you, Ben, about watching sports with other people. But before I do that, the last glass half empty for me. You know what I don't like, boys? I don't like when an opposing player proves to me how good they are. So I want to say about Norman Powell, he's not that good.
Oh.
I want to tell you that the thing I don't like is when people who aren't that good beat the worst, but that's not appropriate for him. He is having a hell of a season. And so I don't like when I have this preconception of like, oh, let him shoot. And then he just keeps knocking it down. I hated Norman Powell last night, but here's my follow-up, Ben. You are in a much more high profile, not much more, you are in a high profile job in sports. And for me professionally, I'm not in sports, but people in my life know I've got a podcast. When I am watching sports with other people, I feel pressure to have a take, even when they don't want it, even when they're not asking me for it. Like I suddenly feel like I should say something here that like shows how much I know. So for you, I'm sure that everyone in your life, family, friends, they know what the fuck you do. Do you have that pressure? Do you feel like you've got to, have like a little inside take or some read on the Warriors they wouldn't have known?
I do when I get asked questions during a game, because sometimes you're, I feel like I'm in, and maybe this is just this is on me. Sometimes I'm able to articulate my sports thoughts or my analysis better through Twitter or, Blue Sky or whatever it is now, because that's just how I've been trained for, since Twitter first became a thing. And that's how you started consuming sports, was through that community. So it happens very often with my wife, actually, like through any game that we're watching. She's watched so many games, God bless her heart. And I feel like she understands, winning basketball, winning football to an extent, but then she'll ask me sometimes like, oh, why did this person do that? And in reality, in the moment, I just don't know. You're like, well, why did Draymond just get thrown out there? And you're like, sometimes Draymond's an asshole. I don't know. You know what I mean? You're just like, what? That's the word. When she asked me why someone gets a technical, I'm like, and why other people don't. I'm like, you'd have to carve through hours and years of tape of Draymond just yelling and lighting into referees. You know what I mean? So I feel that there is that pressure, but. And sometimes I don't respond, but sometimes I shut down. In all honesty, that's why I'll give you a great example. So the Niners-Lions NFC Championship game last year, right? I'd kind of wanted to watch it at home because I was nervous, right? It's the game. Well, are the Niners going to make the Super Bowl? So we go to a friend's house that I was already just kind of like, I don't know if I want to be here. The Niners they're getting demolished in the first half. Yeah. I socially shut down. I'm sitting in the kitchen staring at my wife across the room with this look of, we need to go home or we're going to get into a fight like you and Dream Ben. So and like people were just asking like, well, what do you think you're going to come back? And I'm like, I don't know. I want to drink and forget this game is happening. Like, how can we do that? Am I still allowed to do that? Or because of where I work, I need to have a take. So yeah, there is that pressure. But it also is it's also a good crutch whenever if I can't figure out a topic to talk to someone about in a social situation. If there's any inkling of a sports take that they have, I'll dive right in, and it'll make me look more social than I actually am.
In no particular order, when my wife asks me something I don't know, I'm like, oh, give me a second. And I'm just Googling furiously without her seeing. Like I'll go to the bathroom or something.
Yeah.
Like I'm Googling, why did Draymond get that tech? And then hope to God.
Yeah.
Next thing, I love the idea of you being at that Niner party. Someone asks you something, and you just go full Jim Carrey. Are they coming back? Like, are they coming back? I don't know. just leave me alone, dude. I have no idea. Why the fuck would I know that? And then finally, Maxime, I love the idea that at some point in the future, Ben's going to turn to his loving wife. Like, hey, you want to watch a game? And she's like, no, how about you go watch it with that wrestling bitch? Because I'm not fucking involved at all. It's like, yeah, you ruined that for all of us, dude. So too bad.
And look, if I knew who she was or you knew who she was, I'd try to find her.
All right, boys. To our golden questions. Actually, before we get there, we have a quick word from our sponsor, Maxime.
All right. So, Underdog is the place to go if you're a sports fan looking to win money while watching games. With over 5 million players and 2 billion won, Underdog makes it fun and easy to cash in on all your favorite players' performances. Think Steph Curry will rack up higher than 30 points next game? That James Harden will dish out lower than 16 assists? Cook up some entries for a shot to win real cash prizes all season long. And it's not just the NBA. Underdog has got all your favorite leagues, teams, and stars to choose from. Create entries with all basketball picks or mix and match across your other favorite sports. This season, Underdog is going to be running a special, promo, or bonus almost every single day, like free picks. They're basically a sure thing. A player just has to get higher than 0.5 points for that pick to win. We just said don't bet the NBA, but this is the perfect way to actually bet the NBA because you can bet specifically on individual players. And my favorite thing is Underdog Rescues. In my fantasy league, I'm currently still sweating the loss of Paolo Banchero and really wishing I could have that draft pick back. With Underdog Rescues, you can get back your money and receive a promo if an early injury like Paolo's causes your injury to lose. So what are you waiting for? Download the app today and use code WHP to get up to $1,000 cash back instantly. That's code WHP to get up to $1,000 in bonus cash instantly. Select higher or lower on your favorite players and cash in on Underdog. Must be 18 plus, 19 plus in Alabama, Nebraska, 19 plus in Colorado for some games, 21 plus Massachusetts and Arizona, and be present in a state where Underdog Fantasy operates. Terms apply. Void in Colorado. Concerned with your play? Call 1-800-GAMBLER or visit www.ncpgambling.org. Arizona, 1-800-NEXT-STEP, or text NEXT STEP to 53342. New York, call the 24/7 Hope line at 1-8778-HOPE-NY or text HOPE-NY 467-369.
Did I say don't bet the NBA? I didn't mean that at all. I think 100%.
You should bet the NBA all the time.
All the time. I mean, it's the easiest one to bet. It's really predictable. I mean, there's no variance.
No variance.
Yeah, it's just straightforward. So
yeah,
off we go to our golden questions, gentlemen. Here's our first quote. I haven't been this excited for a season since 2015. Do you think the Warriors can keep this up all year? So a little amorphous, yeah. And in honor of Underdog and my love for betting the NBA, instead I've broken this up to a bunch of different over-unders to get a sense. Will this go, dude? Can we keep this up? So here's our first, gentlemen. Steph is right now averaging 23 points per game. Over his career, he's averaged 24.7. Going forward, I put the number at 23 points per game. Do you take the over or the under? Before you answer, let me just add this, not even caveat, this direction. These things that have gone on this year to couple up to this record, I think might be replicable. We're going to find out here, but that's why I'm breaking this down. There's these various things that have led to the 10-3 record as we stand. And so that's why I think it's fun to get a sense of, can we continue it? So to Steph's 23 points per game going forward, Ben, do you take your first stab at this? What do you say? Over, under?
I'm probably going over. I think they're still going to need him to score, right? And he's still the best player, the best scorer on the team. And again, he's with this record, he's been able to rest a little bit more in these fourth quarters. It's very reminiscent of the dynastic runs where there were times where if he wasn't playing in the fourth, I would be able to turn off the TV because you're like, great, Steph's out. That means the game is pretty much in hand, and that's been sort of what's been happening, in these the early stages of these games. But I think as there's more tape released of this current Warriors team, teams are going to start watching this. The scouts are going to be out on them, and then they'll be able to. Again, Buddy Hield's already kind of trending downward in terms of his productivity from early on in the season, as an example. So at some point, Steph's going to need to score because there are times where this offense is bleak, right? Yep. And I'm sure we'll get into that a little bit later in terms of who's their actual second scorer. But right now, Steph is their number one top scorer with a bullet. So I'm going over on that because I think they're going to need for him to score more than 23 points a game to even stay close to sustaining this level of success.
I was surprised that it was this low. They're averaging like 121 per game. And when I saw that, you see that type of number. You think Steph's in the mid-20s or something. And I think you hit the nail on the head. The other number that struck out to me here is the averaging 29 minutes per game.
Yep.
And what that reflects are those fourth quarters that he sat, and so I think that number goes up. And I think because that number goes up, so does his scoring. I don't think we're talking giant. I mean, we're not getting into like 28, 29, but 24, 25, sure. So I take the over on 23. Clean sweep, Maxime?
Yeah, I agree. And I'm not saying that he's about to win the MVP again this year, but early season buzz has him, I think, surprising more of the voting population for this award than would have been expected at the beginning of the season. I'm sure he's crept up in the overall odds for MVP voting, and it's for good reason. It's, as you guys said, it's not just about him sitting in the fourth quarters. It's also that we're running 11, 12 deep on our team overall. So it allows him to play less minutes. That's why you see like Pajemski and Buddy Hield have the highest plus minus on the team overall. It's because the bench is fantastic. So the points get spread around, which means he has to do less work overall. But look, I think if in a couple of months we're continuing to see the success of this Warriors team, they're currently in the top half of the playoff mix in the Western Conference. You're going to see him potentially making a push because this is legacy defining shit at this point. So
take that a step further. Take that a step further. If we are still on this clip, if they're winning games at this percentage, fast forward a month, it's not just Steph whose MVP case is going to be made. Steve Kerr, Coach of the Year. Buddy Hield, Sixth Man of the Year. Draymond Green, Defensive Player of the Year. I mean, there's a lot of basketball to be played. That's why you're not hearing any of these things now. Nobody's talking about awards, and they shouldn't be. But the work you put in early season counts just as much as the work anywhere else. And so far, all of those guys are in the conversation. They're just not having the conversation yet. All right, second guy, Draymond Green. We brought this up. I talked about it in the like. He is shooting the three not only well, he's shooting at fucking historical levels. He's shooting 46.7% from three, which is bananas. He's not going to keep that. I'm not going to use that as the number. We'll use the universal gold standard for three-point shooting, the 40% number. Yeah. So at the end of the year, Ben, over, under for Draymond Green's three-point shooting, 40%. What do you take?
I'm probably going under. I think there's going to be a regression to the mean here. And I will say, though, I think slightly under. So last year he shot 39%, 39.5. So if you round that up, right, if you're in high school and you're begging your math teacher to just do you a solid to get that A minus, he really shot 40%. So that being said, he's shooting more attempts this year, right? Last year he was at 2.3. This year he's at a 3.5 clip. And again, the Warriors need to shoot a ton of threes with their current, build of their team. I think to kind of sustain what they're doing. So I think Draymond's going to keep shooting. They're going to keep leaving him open, right? And the thing with Draymond, man, he's a little Thanos about him, right? Like you let him get one three, and he's searching for that next ring. You know 100%. What I mean? And he will let people know about it. There's nothing Draymond loves more, I think, than defensive stops. I think Draymond's heart grows like 8 sizes, but I think nailing an open three that a defender has purposely left him open and won't close. I think it's close. I think he enjoys it more than Christmas. So I do think it's gonna regress. The 47%. He's shooting the same percentage from three as Buddy Hield right now, which is completely insane. And again, Buddy Hield won't be able to sustain it. So with that same logic, Draymond won't. But I do think that he's shooting it with a confidence that we haven't seen since the early dynasty run, right? Yeah. So it's still backpacky. It's still got a little bit of a hitch and still a little funky, but I do think he's going to settle probably around the 37, 38% clip for threes this year. But honestly, if that's where he's at, that's a huge win. Huge win.
Of course it is. The distinction this year, the thing he's added to his bag, because you're right, the release is the same. The defense on him is still kind of the same. It's that 2 seconds before he shoots it when they leave him open, just as you were identifying. And it's actually one of my favorite things in Warrior games now, because he has a wry smile on his face that communicates, oh, you motherfuckers haven't been watching. It's like, you don't know what's happening this season. And up it flies. I'm making a slow transition. Like I used to be like, no, don't take it. And like, no, I'm starting to believe it now. And I believe in his contributions on the offensive end. All that positive said, over under on 40%, hard under. He's not shooting 40. He's not hitting the gold standard. We're not going from this guy can't play offense at all to he is a dead-eye three-pointer. There's going to be something in between. And just like Ben said, if we're like mid-30s, gigantic win. because all the other stuff, the stuff we really need him for, is there in spades. I just said he's a deep boy candidate, so like he's given us all of that. And if he can give us just if he makes the defense think even half a second about, maybe I should go out there. If he slows down their rotations a little bit, that's all we want. That's exactly what we need. It increases the spacing. So under, but great job, Draymond. Keep it up.
I will say, I don't check me on this stat because I don't want to know if it's not true. I think if Draymond makes 2 or more threes in a game, we win 100% of the time. At least that's how it feels. When he hits that second one, it's like, we're good. I don't even care if it's halfway through the first quarter. Like, give me the night. We're out.
If my wife said that, I go to the bathroom, Google it, and come back and give you an answer.
Yeah.
That's fine.
But also, Ben, I'm sure this comparison has been made before, but you said kind of back to back, like his heart grew 7 sizes, and then you mentioned that he liked it more than Christmas. My God, has the Grinch comparison been made to Draymond before? Because I feel like he is the ultimate like crossover figure for the Grinch. I think he's the perfect candidate.
Right. I think he will be unvilified. I don't even know if that's a real word, but I think the Rudy Gobert aspect of this, that's just step one. All of a sudden, everyone's going to be like, hey, man, Draymond's kind of a nice guy. And when that narrative hits, I just want it to be known that we were here first. And that we've always known that.
As long as we're doing predictions, I'm going to go ahead and predict that narrative doesn't hit. But who knows, dude? Like maybe it might come around.
If and when it does, just clip this part out. Yeah, right, this whole comparing him to the Grinch, because the Grinch brought all the gifts back to Whoville. That's
right.
As far as the growing 8 heart sizes, it's not just Draymond's heart who grows after defensive plays. It's the whole fucking team. It's all of us watching that block he had on Gafford during that Dallas game.
Oh my God.
But you watch it and it fills you with defensive intensity, and I'm on the couch. It's the thing that gets lost when people look at his intensity. We needed that, man. When the Warriors were in the dregs, when we're still under Cohen and everyone's coming in here kicking our ass and pushing us around. One of the reasons we grew up, one of the reasons we were willing to stand up for ourselves, one of the reasons our heart grew is because Draymond was a dick occasionally, and we needed it, but I've jumped down that rabbit hole too many times. To our next, can they keep this up? This is a little bit more negative. So, Ben, one of the things I read during the offseason, man, did they need Brandon Podziemski to hit the 3. So much so, they wanted him to shoot between 8 and 10 3-pointers. I don't know how many he's taking, but I can tell you how many he's hitting. He is shooting 19.1% from 3. And his free throw shooting is kind of following the problems we've seen with the Warriors too. He's shooting 60% from the foul line. So I give you both of those, gentlemen. Over under from 3 for Brandon Podziemski on the year. I'm going to put it 30%, 3-0. Last year he shot 35% for point of reference. And over on in free throw shooting, 70%. Last year he shot 63%, which I was kind of surprised by. I didn't know that he was a bad free throw shooter. So take them in turn. 3-pointers, 30%. Free throws, 70%. I haven't gone first, so I'll take this one. I will say over on the 3-point shooting. I am buying the mask thing. I would be all weirded out. I couldn't shoot if I had one of those damn things on my face. So I don't think it gets up super high to loop in the last character. I think that Draymond has a higher 3-point percentage than Podziemski, but I still think it gets above 30%. The free throw shooting, I don't know. I don't even know how to explain what the hell is going on. I don't know why he shot 63% last year. So because I'm a blatant homer and I'm trying to speak it into existence, I'll take the over on both, but I feel better about the 3-point number than I do about the free throw percentage.
Yeah, I mean, I think I'm in the same camp, and simply because, again, shooting 19% from 3 is it's almost too bad. You know what I mean? Where it's not like he forgot how to shoot.
Yeah,
right. The mask thing was a thing. He had this weird illness that no one really knows what happened.
Talked about. Yeah,
he was a little bit cryptic about it when Anthony Slater asked him about it pretty recently. So I think he's still figuring some stuff out. You just have to believe, against a guy who actually shot over 30% from 3 last year. There's no way he's going to, if he continues at 19%, he's just not going to play.
Yep.
Right. Because again, this is someone they deemed as untouchable in the offseason, right? When all these trade talks were happening. So you better have been. He's a great connective piece. I understand that. I get that. That's why you wanted to keep someone like him. But again, if he's shooting 19% from three, the overvaluing of this dude in the trade market it's got to be examined in terms of like what could have been acquired, right? Because this is wild. But so I do think that he will, the opposite of regressing to the mean, I guess, catch up to the mean, and he'll shoot over 30. It might be 30 on the dot. Like, I don't think his shot's still a little funky to me. It doesn't seem smooth. And I don't think he's got to go like full Mikal Bridges or anything and reconstruct his shot and just mess it up even more. But it's still not, when you see this guy shooting next to Steph, you're like,
yeah. Although that'd be true of probably anyone. Pretty. Ben, you don't think that when they were talking with Danny Ainge, Danny wasn't like, you know what I need? A 19% 3-point shooter. And the Warriors were like, fuck you, off the table. Like 100%. We'll never trade you that. Like, too bad for you.
Yeah. Podziemski would have thrived in Utah, though. Just he would have been living his best life out there. But I gotta say, they're over 30%. And again, it might be actually 30. It might be 30.1. But what was the number for free throw percentage?
70%. And last year he shot 63.
Ooh, I'm going slightly under. There's something about his shot where every other aspect of his game you kind of appreciate. Right. And again, he's a great connective piece. He's very cerebral, where he's kind of understands Kerr's system. And again, Kerr loves those guys. Right. Yeah. But then from a skill standpoint, again, his jumper has just always been, even when I play with the Warriors in 2K, I dread if Podziemski's left open, I have a shot meter that helps me figure out when I got to let go of the ball. And this dude's form is just messing me up, where I'm just like, I have no confidence. Like with Steph, I could turn the meter off and I'm like, I figure this out. I know the timing. Podziemski, I'm releasing the shoot button and hoping to God it goes in. You know what I mean? It's a weird shot, and he's got to figure it out.
I don't mind telling you that shot meter I think is designed just to make me furious. Like it seems like anytime I actually line it up and it should be going in, it doesn't. And then I just don't get over it. It's like, it feels like cheating, like it was in the green, dude. Like that 100% should have on it. Like, what else am I supposed to do when I've lined up the shot? Maxime, we've got a couple of questions I'm excited for, and we're running quick on time here, or long on time. Give me a quick analysis. 30, 70, over, under on either.
Look, I'm very bullish. We go over on both. This is the sophomore slump. He had his nose fucking broken. He's talking about being dizzy. That sounds like a rough place to be in, both physically and mentally. Your nose is very close to your brain. Just to give you the quick analysis, a lot of people talk about. Listen, I'm just dropping biology knowledge for all of you on this one. You're welcome in advance. At Santa Clara, he shot 77% on 4.5 attempts per game from the free throw line. Everybody says that free throw attempts in college are the best indicator of how you're going to shoot in the pros. And at the same time, he's shooting 43% at Santa Clara on 5.8 attempts. So there is true reason to believe that he's better than how he's played so far this season. I'm very confident by the end of the season, we're going to see over 30% from three and over 70% from the free throw line.
I feel like you were trolling me with those Santa Clara stats. I mean, we were so close to a very fast take, and they're like, oh, also, here's what he did in Santa Clara. So, yeah, thank you, man. Do you know what he shot in junior high? Go fuck yourself. To our next question, I'm going to go fast version. Oh, actually, I got to do this over under because it wraps it up. All right. So right now, the Warriors are winning 76% of their games. They are 10-3. So, quick and dirty math, 76%. If that continued, they would win about 63 wins. Not going to give you that. Now that number seems ridiculous to me. So I'll drop it back, but I'm going to drop it back to a number that would have seemed ridiculous during the offseason. 55 wins for the Golden State Warriors, over, under.
I'm at this current pace and the way that they're playing, I think it's still a little bit under. I think they're at max. I'm thinking 52, 53 wins max. But again, that being said, that actually kind of tracks with where they were last season, right? When you take into account, obviously the Draymond suspension was massive. And the rest of the season, they played at a 50-win pace.
Yep.
Right? So it's not out of the realm of possibility that, in theory, they are a little bit better than they were last year, right? So is 52, 53 55 honestly is not out of the realm of possibility.
Mhm.
I'm just, until they figure out, who the second scorer situation is, I think they're going to hit a little bit more bumps in the road, and it's not going to be as smooth as it's been, at the start of this season. Obviously, the next couple of games a little bit soft, but I think it's gonna all even out. Where again, if they end up with a 52-53 win season, that's a massive success with this specific roster.
Huge success. My analysis is the same. I thought 52, 53, same kind of deal. I think that is an enormous win. Who knows what the roster looks like at the end of the year, but as currently constructed, and even with everything going this well, I don't think they can keep a 76% pace. So yeah, I take the under on 55, but not much. Maxime, bet in a mortgage payment. What do you take?
I agree. I think they're going slightly under. This is assuming perfect health from the guy that we were just talking about being the MVP. He's played in every game so far. It's likely that he's going to take some time out. And he's not carrying the team, but he's a huge part of why all of these wins are these wins. So with some time out from Steph, that's to be expected. I don't think we're going to make that 55 clip.
Yeah, I mean, and to put these together, if what I said before is the way they're playing, they now have 4 postseason award guys. Coach of the year, 6th man, like all of them. The idea of maintaining that they're really going to get all 4 of these guys into the awards, right. Probably not. And so, that doesn't mean they're not going to be successful, but it probably means you can't keep up this percentage of wins. Here was going to be my next question, but I'm going to change it. The next question was going to be, Ben, if you could go back, you had a magic button you could press. And when you pressed it, it's now up to you. You could make the Lauri Markkanen trade happen, or you could make the Paul George happen. Would you do it? And I had some suggested trades, but I'm going to shift it. All right. Here's how I'll shift it. I think all of us thought going into the season, we're biding time to see who was available, and so all these pieces that they got to see that they could offer out. They were trade pieces. We were just kind of treading water to see who was ultimately going to be there. Well, shit, man, it's been going pretty well. They've been winning games. The vibes are right. Everyone's kind of happy. We've just spent 50 minutes explaining why we thought things were going well. So if Mike Dunleavy gave you a call right now and was like, man, I'm confused. Like I thought I knew my mission, dude. I thought I was just looking out there, waiting for a superstar to get disgruntled and then offer. There we go. I mean, I even tried it in the offseason, Ben. I tried it for Lauri. I tried it for Ball, but it didn't happen. But now I'm not sure. They're going well. And if I trade someone, I could lose the vibes. The locker room can turn. So, Mr. Cruz, what the hell should I do? Should I still be looking for trades, or should I sit back and see where this goes? What would you tell him?
I think he's still got to explore the trade market. Again, the fact that there's no definitive second scorer, again, I think they're going to win a decent amount of games in the regular season, just because of how long the season is. You're not getting everyone's best shot every night anymore, right? Yeah. I think the lore of the Warriors is probably not the same as it was, and kind of in the mid 2010s. So, if and when they keep up this pace, let's say they make the playoffs, right? That's when everything slows down. Yep. It's when, you need a couple of guys who can get you a bucket when things get mucky, right? When things grind to a halt. And sure, Steph could be that guy, but that's exhausting to expect someone how is Steph now, 36, right? To carry this version to 4 consecutive playoff wins, like assuming you're thinking championship, right? So I still think they got, and the strength in numbers thing, the depth thing, again, it's a great story, I think, for the regular season. But when the playoffs come, even Steve Kerr, of all people, will tighten his rotation. Yep. We know Kerr loves himself a deep roster. He loves going 10 deep. The fact that he can go 13 deep, this dude is coming home with the biggest smile on his face, and his wife is just confused as all hell. Like, you enjoy playing Lindy Waters? So I think in the playoffs, again, Lindy Waters in game 10 against the Grizzlies, where you're like, oh, thank God Lindy Waters didn't tear his ACL. In the playoffs, Lindy Waters should be watching from the bench and in when they need a free throw shooter. You know what I mean?
I agree, and I'll go with this caveat. I think he entered the season like Daryl Morey. You are calling everybody like, what's up with your star? You tell me, dude, what do you need? I'll put it on the table, like being the aggressor. I think for a while now, for as long as they're winning, he becomes Danny Ainge. Call me. Make an offer. Sure, I'm interested. Yeah, I'm in the market, but like I'm not, we don't have to make a move. And then like, hey, we got to switch back to Daryl Morey mode. Fine, but let them call you for a little while. We got some space here. Let's use this thing that we've put together as a random compliment and as proof to you that I've been listening to Off Guard. I thought that both Pasha and Austin broke down about why you probably need a second star when things get a little nasty. But more than that, the segment I really liked, man, they were talking about the flurry that Steph went on. And and Austin said, look, I have like 7 fucking memories where that happened to me. It's like, and when he broke down that I played for the Clippers and the Rockets when they were in real, competition with them, the idea that he had been stuck in like the 2 teams, which means you're getting fucking torched over Steph's dynastic run, really entertained me. So that was, and honestly, as I listened to it, I pictured you smiling broadly. I'm not sure what you did. I'm not sure if you gave him like double finger, like whatever it was, but I hope something from behind the glass.
I flagged it as something we should post on social, and we did. And the numbers they proved that we were right. Well, to Austin's credit, though, not to defend someone that I work with, but he was always one of those guys too who guarded Steph better than most people. Right? It was like the Avery Bradleys of the world, Marcus Smart to an extent. Austin was just one of those dudes. You're like, why can't Steph get around this guy? You know what I mean?
100%. It's what made his take perfect. Because I have some hate in my heart, sports hate in my heart for Austin Rivers. For some of the reasons you're talking about, and he was being genuine. If it was somebody who was just kind of paying lip service, like, oh, no, I've seen Steph do that. But it wasn't. It was someone who really hated that experience and just had to say it, because it was a true thing. It just sucked for him. And I appreciated that.
And that's how I know he's genuine, too, is because technically Steph Curry is his brother-in-law.
Yeah,
right? His sister is married to Steph's brother, Seth Curry. Yeah. That's their family at this point. So, but he still holds on to this thing of, I hated watching Steph like dance all over us, and like night wasn't a thing back then. But you better believe he would have been nighting the hell out of Austin and the Clippers and the Rockets if that was a thing.
Dude, I can associate. I've spent I don't know however many years, 10 years, saying like, if you don't like watching Steph Curry, you don't like basketball. Newsflash: if I was like a Houston Rockets fan, do you know how much I would hate Steph Curry? Like, I'm not like, oh, hooray for him. Like, I know I'd hate it. Dude. I couldn't stand any of it. So I definitely understand that. All right, to our final question. So this one was asked, quote, what are your impressions of the Intuit Dome? Well, a couple follow-ups there. I've never been, and I don't care. I don't care about the Intuit Dome. So instead, I've changed this up. But even before I ask you the follow-ups, have either of you ever seen a stadium article? Like something out there, because we've seen a million of every time the Clippers are mentioned, they spend like 8 to 10 seconds talking about, oh, it's the new Intuit Dome and Steve Ballmer's palace and all this shit. Have you guys ever seen a story about a stadium that you cared about, like that you read, like, oh, it's a new stadium, hooray?
So I will zag on the Intuit Dome only because one of my Ringer colleagues, Tyler Parker, he wrote a piece about the Intuit Dome entitled "Into the Bowels of Steve Ballmer's Toiletopia," because he documents the plethora of bathrooms and toilets at Intuit Dome. And if you could watch all these interviews with Ballmer, this is the thing he was touting the most about Intuit. The screen, sure. The wall, sure. I encourage everyone who hasn't yet to read Tyler's piece because there's video evidence of it. There are so many bathrooms in this place. If you end up in a line at Intuit Dome for the bathroom, just go next door and you'll be able to get out of that line and go to the bathroom and go back to your seat or buy some concessions. It's phenomenal, and it's a marvel. This might be years from now. You know how we look back at like, how did they build the pyramids? People are going to look back at Intuit Dome and be like, what did people do before? There was less toilets than this. This is insane.
It's gonna be more than that. They're gonna go through like the ruins. Like we're in dystopia now.
Yeah. Intuit Dome's the only building left.
They're going through the ruins of Intuit Dome, and they're like, "How often do people go to the bathroom in this age?" It's like, dude, they couldn't walk 3 feet. There's like bathrooms everywhere. Like they had terrible stuff. I believe I read that article, and I think if I read the right one of my favorite takes was the guess that Steve Ballmer may or may not have shit his pants in the past, and that's why he's so
yes,
yeah, like he at some point he had some real nasty environment, and he's like, ooh,
He
Not
said never again.
It's like, I don't care how much I have to spend. That will never happen again. And he spent a couple billion, and so good
That's
for
the
him.
reason. That's actually the impetus for why he got rich. He was like, I'm going to become rich, so I will never feel this feeling again.
I'll be surrounded by bathrooms at all points. Yeah, there's no risk here. Okay, to our follow-ups. So the real question is, what's the best stadium you've been to? So you can give me a single answer. Yeah. This is one I did not really prep you boys for. My apologies. To let you have some time to think. I'll go first. I've broken it up. All right. And first, I'll even answer that first question. Have I ever cared about a stadium article? No, except when Chase Center was first announced, and we got season tickets, and it kind of felt like it was my stadium. Like they're building the stadium that we were going to.
Yeah.
I like that. I was on board for it. Like anything they had. Like, oh, what food do they have? How do we get out there? Like that kind of stuff. So I do have my own selfish caveat. Best atmosphere, crowd, noise, easily Oracle. All right.
Yeah.
But so easy, I'm going to give you a follow-up answer. Keys are for Pro-Am games. And I'm talking.
Oh, yeah.
I'm talking back.
Fantastic.
And it wasn't just the noise, and it wasn't just the kind of and one environment. The thing I always liked is that it combined a high school feel with NBA superstars. There'd people be there fucking smoking weed in the stands. There's blunts going. People aren't necessarily paying attention. When they go to timeouts, there's kids who go and they're shooting free throws and playing around, like they're just out there, and then they stop and out comes, Jason Kidd or Steph Curry or, a litany of NBA guys. So that dichotomy I loved. Best seats. And now I'm just talking comfort. Gonna mean something, man. Props to the Giants organization. In the last couple of years, they upgraded their seats close. I'm lucky enough to have some nice seats. And now, big leg room. People can walk by me. No problem. Love that. Other side of the coin, worst seats I've ever been to. Chase Center upstairs. It's not that the seats are bad. The angle up there gives me vertigo, dude. It's bananas. I feel like I'm
sudden. Yeah.
When I walk past people with a soda, I turn my back to the stadium because I feel like I'm falling to my death, and so I won't even, I can't even look that direction. So hard out there. Second place, worst seats. I went to a soccer game in Barcelona, and either asses in America are way fat. Not either. Asses in America must be way fatter because I legitimately could only fit half an ass cheek on there, and nobody else seemed to be uncomfortable. So it made me feel like I had a giant ass. It was what it was. Which leads me to food and bathrooms. All right. Best food for me, Wrigley, not because they had good food. Their beer vendor walked around with a bunch of different IPAs, and it blew my mind. I kept pointing it out to my wife. And the first few times she's like, yeah, dude, that's great. And then by the fifth time, she's like, I see it. Okay. I get it. You don't have to point out the fucking IPAs. There they are. Yeah. For best actual food, probably Chase. Although I'm so cheap, Ben. I don't know. I just get a hot dog. I'm never actually getting the
Chase does have, they've got some local Bay Area haunts and vendors in that stadium where oh my God, the fried chicken place that is in Oakland. Baked Stale Betty's, thank you.
Bingo.
That's every time I go. That's a must, right? I think they have Nate Thurman's barbecue place in there, right? So they got a bunch of great spots in there.
And a crab sandwich that costs a little bit more than my wife's engagement ring. Whatever. That's fine.
Yeah.
It tastes pretty good. And then finally, bathrooms. I've never been into a dome. Just because of our conversation, I'll say that's the worst. I'm sorry, that's the best. The worst, the trough at the Coliseum. There's not
disgusting.
Yeah, just is what it is. If you'd like to have piss splashed on your pants, go there. So there is my quick and dirty breakdown, gentlemen. You can give me one all-encompassing answer. You can go by detailed descriptions here. Up to you.
I'll go with somewhere actually. What was it, a year or two ago? So I went to SoFi Stadium for the first time for WrestleMania. Not this past April, but the April before. So WrestleMania 39, and I didn't want to like it. That's where the Rams play. They tried to prevent Niners fans from buying tickets to their playoff games and all this other bullshit. But the stadium, I got to tell you, it puts Levi's to shame.
Why? Because I've heard this before. I've had other people tell me SoFi's amazing.
So first of all, the view, and again, I watched a wrestling event there, so maybe this skews my perception of what it's like maybe to watch football there. But the sight lines are all really. It seemed like I would duck my head in whenever if I was. Sometimes I went to the bathroom or grabbed a drink like during a match, and I'd pop in wherever I was to kind of see like what was happening in the middle. The sight lines just seemed really good wherever I was. So there was that. The amenities, everything like on the concourse just felt new. It felt current. There were some automated features that I was just shocked by, right? And again, this is more current or common now at these sporting events, but where you just take your item from let's say you're getting a beer, right? And you just put it down in this nondescript scanner and it knows exactly what it is. And it's like, you have 3 of these. And it's this one. And you're like, how did you know? You didn't know.
Sounds like magic.
There's just a guy standing next to you to make sure I'm not stealing this. But other than that, so all of their advancements in how they get you in and out concession wise is great. And there is a little bit of an outdoor aspect where there's some visibility to the outside through some windows. Yep. It's not like Cowboy Stadium where they're not closing the windows during football games, so the receivers are getting blinded by the sun, which seems insane. Jerry Jones, like, close the freaking window for your guys. But it just gave it this whole almost like this gazebo feel where you're like, oh, inside and outside at the same time, to steal a little bit of a joke from John Mulaney. So it's SoFi was surprisingly dope. I didn't want to like it, but I really enjoyed my time in there.
It won you over. Yeah, fair enough.
Unfortunately.
Maxime, close us out. What's your favorite stadium?
Well, a couple of things. First of all, the window conversation reminded me of the weird ass renders we saw of the Las Vegas A's stadium with John Fisher's giant window that was just somehow going to be like 140 degrees in there, which is just like, fuck him. I can't believe they did that. And that also reminds me that some of the worst seats I've ever sat in. I really do miss Oakland Coliseum, but sitting on the opposite side of the outfield, right? I can't remember what they call that area, but where all the drummers are.
Mount Davis.
I was there for a game peak summer, and the fly scene, I was like getting, and look, it wasn't just me. Maybe I'm a gross Frenchman that doesn't wear deodorant or something, but like, I swear it was all of us were getting absolutely mobbed by flies. It was disgusting. It was rough. They were falling into my beer. Nasty. Did not enjoy it. So, obviously love Oracle. I'll also give a shout out to the Orange Velodrome in Marseille, where I went to see a game there. Again, they were playing PSG, so there's a bit of a rivalry, but it's just so fun to be in a European soccer atmosphere and just to sort of get lost in it. And I think, Bram, you just sort of missed the point. You're not supposed to be sitting down anyways. So that's why they don't, what are the seats for, right? So those are some of my takes.
The point you missed is I wanted to punch the screen when you said that with that French accent both times. It's almost like a rage punch for no reason. And I understand, look, I'm a xenophobe. It's awful. This is a thing that I need to get better on, but it is in fact true. Ben, missed you. Love having you on. Today certainly was an exception. For people out there who are exactly like me and need far more Ben Cruz in their life, where do they go?
Cruise Control. I'm going to promote this first before Twitter. Blue Sky. If you're not already on it, it's a good time. Actually, I see it on the screen already. So yeah, at Cruise Control on Blue Sky, but Twitter, Instagram, any other social media site that you want to follow, if that's your jam. But also at Ringer Wrestling to see everything I'm doing on the work side, and at Ringer NBA to follow everything we're doing on the hoop side as well. So that's where you'll find me after you listen to all the pods here, of course.
Of course. You know where to find us. We're on social media everywhere. Just type in your social media site of choice, except for Blue Sky. Maybe I need to get on that. And if you enter in where is that, you'll probably find us.
It's got early 2010s Twitter vibes. Remember when Twitter was fun and not a scary, awful for your mental health place?
It's not a megascape.
The vibes are fantastic. Like I was live tweet when Steph threw that pass to GP2 last night during the Clippers game and GP2 missed. I tweeted something out. Skied. I don't actually know what the verb is yet. I posted something on Blue Sky and it was like, oh, that felt like early 2010s. You know what I mean? Where it just felt good. It just felt great.
as long as it doesn't have that For You tab that Twitter has, which is basically just mega. And I don't understand
No,
why.
that's not
and
on
like, I don't get that in any way. So yeah, maybe.
It's a safe space over there.
Okay,
great.
And by the time you're listening to this, look at Blue Sky, search for Warriors Huddle. You'll find me there, not hating everyone around me. You can also shoot us an email if you want to get us a question. Let us know we did a good job, bad job, any job. You can send that email to
huddle@warriorshuddle.com.
boom. We are also on YouTube, where Maxime is doing an incredible job with the video feed. Check it out, especially for our award shows. With that in mind, go Warriors. Hopefully, we'll see you twice next week.